Hi class, my name is Aaliyah and today I'm going to be discussing different forms of hiring discrimination and the harmful effects it can have on both people and organizations. If there's one important thing I want you guys to know as I maneuver this presentation, it's that hiring discrimination is illegal in several forms, yet is still prevalent in hiring processes across the US. There are laws to protect potential candidates from employers' biases, but that doesn't seem to be enough. There are so many different forms of biases that exist in the world, but here are a few of the most common ones: age, disability, race, national origin, pregnancy, religious, gender or sex, and weight. These can be the most visible aspects of a person, which is why bias towards these characteristics can be so common. Now, there are several different issues that can arise from allowing biases to affect hiring processes, but here are a few we can take a look at. First, 50% of all employers are less likely to hire obese candidates. That is a massive number that affects so many people. This also is turning away potentially skilled candidates. Second, white workers are more likely to have a good job even with the same level of education. This again is turning away more potentially skilled candidates based off of their appearances and ethnic backgrounds. And lastly, people with disabilities are less likely to work in management, professional, and related occupations. Now, here's a question worth considering. Why should managers care about hiring discrimination? Well, like I mentioned earlier, having several biases reduces the talent pool to choose from way earlier and turns away strong potential candidates. This is bad for managers because when they turn away candidates because of their conscious or unconscious bias, it limits the amount of candidates that will be able to move forward into the next step in the hiring process. Secondly, managers should care about hiring discrimination because having a more diverse team generates more creativity and process conflict, which is essential for effectiveness. With having a team with more differing opinions, it creates healthy conflicts, which ultimately lead to better decision making. Reducing biases in an organization's hiring process will undoubtedly allow for more minority groups to enter the workspace and contribute their different points of view and add value to decision-making roles. And to my own personal surprise, reducing hiring bias has proven to improve a company's bottom line. Ultimately, having a diverse team attracts more diverse job-seeking candidates. This reduces the hiring failure rate and can help retain top talent. What should we take into consideration as future managers is what actually causes these biases to lead to discrimination? Well, first, people are more inclined to like people who are similar to themselves. Research shows this starts as early as adolescence. We tend to like those who are most like us, whether we are aware of it or not. Secondly, job postings can unintentionally show favoritism to a certain group of people. The smallest of details in word choice can discourage minorities from applying to a certain role. Likely the most important thing to be aware of as a manager is to be consistent with the recruiting process. Interviewing processes can vary from applicant to applicant and are not consistent. It is extremely rare for an organization to have a strict and standardized recruiting process that is religiously followed. So, what can we all do as future managers to ensure we're not letting our biases affect our hiring processes? First and foremost, companies need to take the initiative to standardize interviews so that all recruiters have to follow the same protocol in order to finalize a new hire. This is extremely important because if companies take the extra step to ensure every candidate receives the same hiring experiences, there will be less room for biases to affect the onboarding process. Managers should utilize phone interviews in the initial screening process to reduce the initial bias that can occur. Using phone interviews and initial screenings can reduce the effect of any physical characteristics that may influence the likelihood that a candidate will be hired. And finally, the utilization of blind resumes and previous recommendations to assist in identifying potential candidates will ultimately force managers to screen candidates specifically on work-related skills only. All right, and then here are a few of the references that I've used. Thank you so much for listening.